Hey everybody, welcome to another Cricut craft tutorial. Today we are going to be doing Mickey ears. We're going to do a heat and bond fabric with our Mickey ears. I got these off of Amazon. They're pretty good quality. I will link them below. So you'll need Mickey ears, a ruler, heat and bond, which I will also link below. It's only about $3 and you get a yard, which goes a pretty long way. You're gonna need a pair of scissors. I'm just using my Cricut ones. Some sort of edging. I'm just using this bling ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree. And then you're gonna need a fabric. This one is a 100% cotton fabric and it's in a galaxy print with a little bit of glitter to it. And then a cookie sheet and an iron. I have my iron heating, so we can get started. First thing we're going to need to do is measure our Mickey Mouse ears. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can either just measure them with your ruler, or you can draw a little template and measure, but I'm just going to use my ruler, and we're just going to get pretty close to how big they are. They're about 2 3/4 from that point, and about 3 1/2 across from this point, because they're going to need this little cutout here. So we're going to go ahead and go over into Design Space and get these kind of working while the iron heats up, and then I'll show you guys how to put the heat and bond on your fabric. We're in Design Space, so we're going to go ahead and do a new project. And this one's going to actually be relatively simple, so we're just going to open Shape and do a circle. And we know that the circle at the widest was 3 1/2, so I'm just going to up that to 3 1/2. But the problem being that these were kind of ovally in shape because of that cutout. So what the easiest thing for me to do is I'm going to blow this up a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Oops. Let me get that off the screen though. Is I'm going to, make that a little smaller. All right, I'm going to move that over. So I'm going to just cut a little circle out of the bottom of it. And we're going to outline the whole thing so you won't really see if it's not 100% like perfectly fit. So all I'm going to do is make 2 circles, and then I'm going to select them both by clicking the left mouse button and dragging. I'm making a square, and then I'm just going to click slice, and I'm just going to pull off these pieces. So there we have our circular Mickey Mouse ear, and you can blow it up again if you want. Because what I'm doing actually by blowing it up is I'm holding up my mouse ear to it and just seeing if it looks like it's about right, and it's pretty close, honestly. So I think we're going to be okay. So all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make 4 of these. So let me make this back down smaller so you guys can see them all. So all I'm going to do is just click duplicate 3 times. Duplicate, duplicate, and duplicate. And we have them all set to cut because we're going to want to cover both sides of our Mickey ears with our fabric. So now that we've done this, we can go put the heat and bond onto our fabric. And we'll come back and click Make It after we've done that. So we know that we're going to need about an 8" by 8" square. So I cut that out of the heat and bond. And with the heat and bond, you can feel there's one side that's kind of shiny and textury, and then the other side is paper. When we do this part, the paper part needs to be up, and our fabric is going to be upside down. So I'm just going to lay my fabric out, and my fabric has a little bit of a part at the bottom that we don't want. So I'm just going to do it at the top. And I'm just going to lay my fabric down. And you'll want to preheat your fabric to do this. Now, the top part has a little bit of a part I don't want either. So I'm just going to make sure to put my heat and bond a little bit further down from the edge of my fabric. So all I'm going to do is take my iron, which is set to the cotton setting. And I'm just going to run it over my fabric. Now, I do have my cookie sheet under this, partially to protect my surface and also because it does conduct heat a little bit better. So once you've heated up your fabric a little bit, just enough to warm, you're going to lay down your heat and bond. Again, make sure paper side up, and I'm just going to stick it kind of in the corner, but I'm going to leave a little bit of an edge just so that I can make sure I cut it off. And with the heat and bond, you're just going to press it on And you can iron it just like you would fabric. This isn't like when you're doing iron-on vinyl. You can just press it down with your iron, and you're just going to go ahead and go right over it just like so. And you want to make sure that it's well adhered to your fabric, so you're just going to go over it a couple of times. And we're going to, don't worry that it's such a big piece of fabric, because we're going to go ahead and cut out where we put the heat and bond. And you just want to make sure this little corner doesn't seem to want to stick real well, but we'll just get him a little extra. And you want to do a little bit of pressure on this just to make sure that it is well stuck down. So once you've got that stuck, put your iron to the side. And I'm going to cut this before I take my paper off, just because I think it's a little bit easier to see where your project is. Again, I'm just using CRICUT scissors. I don't have fabric scissors, but until the CRICUT ones go dull, these ones work fine. So you're just going to cut along the edge of your heat and bond. And it's okay if you cut just a little bit of your heat and bond off, just so you make sure that you're nicely lined up with your fabric. So I'm just going to cut this out. And once we do that, we can pull the paper off, and we can actually put it on our mat. So don't leave the paper on. I've done it where I've left the paper on, and it does okay, but peeling the paper off of your mat can sometimes be a bit difficult. It just depends. Like, I use the regular grip mat when I do these, and I haven't had too much of an issue. But I know with the strong grip, if you're going to use that, make sure that you do get the paper off the back. It just makes it a little bit messy, but it's fine. So we're going to go ahead and get this all trimmed out, and I'm going to show you. We're almost done. Here we go. One more little edge to do. All right. So we're going to go ahead and pull the paper off of this so you guys can see it. And sometimes it's hard to find the edge of your paper. It just depends on the product. But when you peel it off, you're going to see that the fabric, you can see in the video that the fabric's shiny. That's the actual adhesive, like, gluey part. And you want to make sure that's on there. So we have our adhesive gluey part, and you'll feel that your fabric now isn't as floppy. It's much more stable. And that's bonded fabric. So we're going to go ahead and put all this to the side for now, because we got to cut out our ears. So let's go ahead and move all of our stuff, and we'll go back over to Design Space, and we're going to click Make It. So we're ready to click Make It on our little ear templates. But I'm going to show you guys something, because I don't like how they lay it out because of how I cut my fabric. So I'm going to move my ears a little bit so that I can save myself some fabric and also some headaches. So you can just move your stuff on your mat as you want just by clicking it and dragging it. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space between these two, but not a ton, just to save on some fabric and make sure everything fits on our fabric piece. Like I said, I did cut it in an 8x8 fashion, so it should be just fine. I'm just going to scoot him over a hair. And I think we should be good on our cuts there. It's just a little bit over 7 and a little under 6, or a little over 6, so we should be fine. So we'll get our mat out, and we'll get ready to get this thing cut out, and I'll show you guys how to load the mat. But I also want to show you on the bonded fabric, and I'm going to set my setting on my machine first so that you guys can see this. When we continue, as soon as our machine decides to connect, and it does take a second, I do have mine directly connected. I don't use wireless. In my house, my Bluetooth is just touchy, and it's just not worth it. So you'll see I've set it to fabric, and it shows it right here. This is where you can always double check that your machine is set to the correct setting. So we're going to go ahead and load our mat, and we'll cut it out. So like I said, I'm going to use a newer green mat. I do have the fabric mat, but for this, the newer green mat works fine. So you're going to want to make sure that you get it nice and lined up. See, I told you mine was sticky. And you're going to line it up best you can. My lines when I cut are never very straight, so I just try to do the best that I can. And you'll want to make sure that it's lined up pretty nicely. Like, see over here, I may come over, and because I see that it's going further this way, I'm going to readjust my items on my mat, because I see that it is a little bit further from the edge than I would be comfortable with. So all I'm going to do is just move my ears over a little bit, just so that I'm sure that they're not going to cut on that little edge right there where I kind of don't have any fabric, because I made a mistake. So yeah, I'm going to move my ears over just a little bit, because it goes a little bit over the 8. So I'll be all right if I go up to the 8 line And that way I'm sure that my little with my can't cut in a straight line is fine. So we're going to go ahead and load our fabric. I'll move you over to the machine and I'll show you that custom setting that I have, or the bonded fabric setting that I have it set on. Let me raise you guys up a little bit. So right here is bonded fabric. It's the one all the way at the bottom, right above the CRICUT button. So we're going to go ahead and click done on our machine over here on our design space. Again, make sure it's stuck down really well. We're going to load our fabric, or our mat here, and then we're just going to click the CRICUT button. And it's going to go ahead and cut it. You don't need any special blade for this cotton fabric that I'm using. If you're using a thicker fabric, you may need the deeper cut blade, but I've done a couple projects with cotton fabric, and this is just the standard blade that came with the machine. So it should be just fine. So we're going to get our Mickey ears all cut out. And you can see it's a pretty quick process. It is not, it does not really take that long. And as you can see, I did, since I moved it over, we're fine. It didn't cut them off. And it doesn't take real long, but these bonded fabric projects are much better with like just a really simple design and not anything too crazy. So let me move you down here so you guys can see. So I'm going to go ahead and pull off our excess fabric, and you'll see that if I can get the fabric off, we'd be doing great. It cut out our ears. Now, every once in a while, I'll find a little fiber that might stick, and that's okay. I just usually tear it, and it's fine. So there are our ear templates. So all we're going to do is pull those off of our mat. And don't worry if you get a little bit of fraying on the edges, especially on these little corners, like they fray a little bit. It's okay. They'll be covered up, so you won't notice them anyways. You can use your spatula too if you don't have like nails to get them off. But it's pretty easy to get them off once you've cut them. So we're going to go ahead and back over to our iron and our cookie sheet so that we can get these little guys ironed on. So we have our Mickey ear. Now don't worry that you have a little bit of gapping on the sides, because again, we're going to cover that up, and we can cover that up in any way we want, but I'm just going to use the bling just because I think it's fun. And you will have a little bit of a gap here, but again, if you put a bow on, it covers it up. It's very hard to get these 150% perfect, but as long as you're pretty close, it's not a big deal. So we're going to use our iron, also still set on the cotton setting, and I'm just going to line up my ear, and I don't mind the gap at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and leave the little gap at the bottom because I can cover that up later. And you're just going to take your iron and press it onto your Mickey ear. Now, because the Mickey ear is a little bit more sensitive of a fabric, I don't press it real long. I just give it quick little presses, and then I'm going to go back and repress just so that I make sure that it's all on there, but I don't want to burn my Mickey ear. So we're just going to go ahead and just do it like this. Now on a t-shirt, you would want to press it a little bit longer, or on like a canvas tote, something like that. You could absolutely press it longer. But for this, because it's kind of a synthetic material, we're just going to quickly do a quick press. You can see that it is on our Mickey ear. Now I do have a little bit of a goop right there where it's kind of hanging off. I can just trim it off. It's no big deal. Do be careful because your ear does get a little bit warm. You can trim it off once it's cool, but I'll just get it right now. Oh, yeah, that's a little hot. All right, I'll trim that little doodad off. And like I said, we'll cover a lot of this up once we put our bling on and decorate our ear a little bit better. But I'll just go in and press that down. And then I'm just going to make sure that this corner is pressed down. And you can just use the little corner of your iron to press into that little piece of the ear, just to make sure it's pressed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this other ear on the front before I go to the back, so I can let that one cool a little bit more. So we're just going to do the same thing. We're just going to take our ear and we're just going to press it with the iron so that the fabric adheres. That heat and bond, like I said, it just makes an adhesive backing for your fabric. You can do so much with this. You can make little appliques. You can layer this stuff, which is really fun. So if you wanted to put like initials on this, or if you were going for like someone's birthday, you could easily add HTV to this, or you could add any kind of really embellishments you wanted. But you can see here's the front side of our galaxy ears. So we'll flip it over, and I'm going to do this ear because this ear's cooled, and I'm just going to put this on the back of that ear. And we're just going to go ahead and do the same thing. You're just going to press it down. Make sure it gets nice and adhered. And again, just make sure that you're not doing a ton of heat all at once in one spot on these, because that synthetic material, we don't want to burn it. But there's the back of one of them, so we'll get the other one while that one cools down. And we're going to go ahead and just line that guy up. Again, don't worry about the gaps. It's okay because you're going to cover them up. Now with these, you guys can get as creative as you want with Mickey ears. There's so much you can do with them, and you don't have to just wear them to Disney. You can wear them anywhere, really. I mean, why wouldn't you want to wear a Mickey ear? But I have seen them used a lot for like Halloween costumes and things, and you can do them so personalized. So there's just a million options with these, which is great. Now I will say that as you're heating, just be careful. And I heated the glue a little bit too much. There's a little bit of glue on these ears right here. It's kind of flopping off. So what I'm going to do is when I come back with the hot melt glue to put the bling on, I'll just fix that. So just be careful with that. Like I said, with the synthetic material, you just have to kind of watch what you're actually heating up. I was a little too close to the edge on this one. And it was a little loose when I started, so I should have probably glued it before I did this, but that's okay. So we'll fix it with the hot melt glue, so don't worry. And again, you'll cover it up when you add a bow or when you bling it out. So here's the front of our ears and the back. Pretty simple process. So I'm going to go ahead and get the hot melt glue plugged in and heating, and then we can get our bling put on. Alright, so all I did was I took that fat ribbon and I just cut off a single line of the blue bling. So for this part, all you need is a glue gun, and your ears, and your blingy, and some scissors. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start, first I'm going to glue my ear back on. I almost forgot to do that. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on my ear, and I'm just going to glue him back on real quick before I forget. Alright, I'm using this Blue Smart glue gun from Amazon. I have been using it forever and I love it. It is just a regular temperature glue gun. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little dab of glue right there. And I'm going to run a bead of it, just a small little bead, up the tips of my ear. And I'm only going to go about a quarter of the way, just so the glue doesn't dry before I get there. And be careful because your glue is going to be hot, so you're just going to want to gently place your beads along your glue line. Pretty easy to do. And then you're just going to continue your glue line. I don't do the whole thing just because you don't want to accidentally burn your hand or get glue all over yourself. I am a get glue all over myself kind of person. So we're just going to run our bling all the way around our ear. And again, just like I said, be careful. It does get hot, so you want to make sure that you're making sure you're not getting the glue on your finger, which I just did. And now that we've gotten to the bottom of our ear, I'm going to trim off my bling. Like I said, I got this from the dollar store. I mean, this whole craft is like, I don't know, I think you can do it for $4. If you get the fabric on sale and you get your bling from the Dollar Tree, you're probably looking at about a total price of $4 whole for your craft. So we're going to go ahead and do our other ear. You can see this one's done. So we're going to go ahead and do our other ear. All I'm going to do is just run a little bead of glue, and I'm going to make sure I get a little bit down here. Just run a little bead of glue around the outside of my ear. And I'm just going to put, and I'm just going to put my bling along that outside edge. And you guys can embellish these like a million ways. I've seen ribbon, glitter, Really, the possibilities on this are absolutely endless. This is just a really fun way to make all of your items and your Disney trips or wherever you're going just a little bit more personal. These are really great for the cruises too. A lot of people wear their Disney, their Mickey ears on their Disney cruises. And you can do these beach themed or really kind of anything you want. So whoops, let me get that little hot melt glue string off here. And here we have our, let me move my hot melt glue gun out of the way. Oops, and turn it off. Here we have our finished Mickey ears. You guys can see the bling around the side. Super cute, super fun, really easy, fun craft to do. And you can do these with any fabric. You can add a bow. I just don't like a bow. It's just my own personal thing. But you can easily hot melt glue a bow or clip a bow on so it's removable. But you guys can see this craft was really easy, pretty inexpensive, and just a lot of fun. If you guys have any questions, make sure you do leave those below. I'm always happy to answer your questions. If you're looking for a specific tutorial, please also comment that below. I always love helping you guys out. Make sure you do subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos all the time. And go ahead and click that bell icon because that'll let you know when I post a new video. I hope you guys have a great day.